Epoxy tables. How much do they cost? The one question we get all the time. In this video, I'm going to give you a short breakdown of how much epoxy tables cost. Let's go. So, the one question we get all the time is, how much does epoxy tables cost? Well, if you think about it, that's a really difficult question to ask. There's a lot of factors we have to keep in mind when someone asks you, how much does epoxy tables cost? Well, let me put it in short. Say for instance, you ask me, wherever you are in the world, how much does epoxy tables cost? And I'm like, okay, well, between 50 to 200,000 Rand. And then you're like, what? There's so many things you have to keep in mind when you're asking someone on an international base, how much does epoxy tables cost? In this video, I am going to give you a short breakdown of how much epoxy tables cost internationally. Well, I can't obviously cover all the places in the world. I'll cover most of them, but in short, where I'm from in South Africa, epoxy tables costs around about between 50 to 60,000 Rand, all the way up to 200,000 Rand. And there's a lot of factors you have to keep in mind when you price epoxy tables. I actually made a video recently on how to price epoxy tables. You might want to go and check it out. I am going to leave a link now if you want to go and check that video out. Anyway, epoxy tables. There's a lot of factors you have to keep in mind when you ask someone how much does epoxy tables cost. What wood species are you using? Are you using a cheap wood species? Are you using an expensive wood species? Epoxy. What epoxy are you using? There is 1,000 different types of epoxies on the market. And you get from super cheap epoxy, which very big manufacturers are using, and they are charging premium prices. And you get really expensive epoxies, which makes the table actually very expensive. So, I done a little bit of research on how much epoxy tables cost in a few countries. Now, I'm obviously not going to list 700 countries of how much epoxy tables is going to cost in your country, but you also have to keep in mind, please do not kill me in the comments down below. Google search basically picks up from where I'm Googling in South Africa, and it gives me all the information in my surrounding area, meaning that it was really difficult searching for prices in Indonesia, Philippines, Brazil. There's a lot of countries I not really could pick up how much epoxy tables cost. But starting off in the US, I picked up that the estimate pricing for epoxy tables from small projects start around about $2,000 all the way up to $8,000. But then you get companies like Blacktail Studio. Ocam is doing absolutely amazing work. His tables goes from 15,000 all the way up to 30,000. And when you purchase something from him, you know you get a premium quality product. So, in Canada, you get tables that's more or less from 2,000 all the way up to 10,000. And then you get a company like Black Forest Wood Company, which also delivers a very premium product. So you know, if you're going to buy a table there, you're going to get the absolute best. Meaning that their tables straight from, I saw on their website, I think starting from $3,000 all the way up to $30,000. And moving to India was very difficult. I don't even know what currency India is using, but the research I've done shows that Indian epoxy tables go from 10,000 all the way up to 300,000. And in South Africa, where I'm from, our tables, depending on which supplier you go with, but starting from 45,000 Rand all the way up to 200,000 Rand, just depending on which supplier you're going with. You also do have to keep in mind, if you're going with a very cheap epoxy table, you are most probably going to receive a very cheap epoxy. And you have to question yourself, is the manufacturer actually using the correct wood methods, epoxy, using the correct stuff to build your epoxy table. So you do have to keep that in mind. That is why the epoxy tables are really, really expensive. Now, we are starting to manufacture tables locally in South Africa, and we are busy shipping them on an international basis. So down in the description of this video, I am going to leave our email address where you can get hold of us, where we will share all our pricing with you, and I can almost guarantee you we can manufacture them here in South Africa and ship them to your doorstep for cheaper what you can buy them for in your own country. Yes, that's a very bold statement, and try us. Just leave us a mail and we'll see where we go with this. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, please don't kill me if my estimate pricings are wrong in your country. And this gives you a very good idea of what epoxy tables cost in American dollars, because that's basically the international currency everyone is working to. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a short one this week, but I thought to myself, let me cover this aspect, because it is a question we get on a daily basis, is how much does epoxy tables cost? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Before you head out, make sure you like our channel, subscribe, and I'll see you next week with another super cool video. Thanks guys, cheers.